Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and to another soft spoken true crime video. Thank you so much for being here. Today we will be going over another missing persons case. This one a lot more recent than the last missing persons case video that I did, which was on Jodi Huisentruit. So today we will be looking into the disappearance of Alicia Navarro, who was a 13-year-old girl that went missing in 2019, and since then her mother has been fighting to get her story out there. If you like these types of videos, please remember to like and subscribe and comment below what cases you'd like to see me do in future or what ASMR videos you'd like to see. I do regular ASMR videos as well if true crime isn't your thing. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. Alicia Cristina Navarro was born on the 20th of September 2004 and lived in Glendale, Arizona with her mother Jessica, her stepfather and her two siblings. She was an adorable little kid, very cute and very caring, and she was very close with her mother. When Alicia was about 12 years old, she was diagnosed with autism, and although she was considered to be high functioning, like many with autism, she was very particular with certain things and struggled with sensory issues as well as with anxiety. Alicia was a good student in school and she did well with her grades, but she struggled with school for other reasons, the main one being that she hated leaving her home and was sometimes very afraid of being in public. She didn't enjoy being around people, particularly new people or crowds, because they were overstimulating and overwhelmed her. Alicia's home was her safe space, her comfort zone where her autism and anxiety was most manageable, so she didn't want to leave. She started going to therapy to help her manage her autism and anxiety and to encourage her to get out of the house. But even so, some days Alicia would have a meltdown before going somewhere, curling up in a ball on the floor and screaming. She liked to have a very set schedule and was overwhelmed when things didn't go as planned or as was routine, so she ended up staying home quite a lot because of this. She enjoyed going to her favorite restaurants, IHOP and McDonald's, where she loved the chicken nuggets and french fries. They were the only foods that Alicia would always eat because, like I said, she had a lot of sensory issues, which made her very particular about things like food and like clothing. She liked to eat the same things and wear the same things and generally be around the same people. Alicia did have a small circle of friends whom she was very close to, having known them since kindergarten. She was a very caring and loving friend, and she was also incredibly fond of her dog, Sushi, who was always a great comfort to her from the time she was a child. Another thing that Alicia loved was online gaming, which was her preferred way to make new friends and socialize, because she could do it all from her safe space, her home, in a controlled environment. It's a common misconception that people with autism don't want to socialize, but in reality, many autistic people do, and socializing online is a way to break down some of the social barriers that they face. Online gaming provided this for Alicia, and from the time she was about 12, she spent a lot of her time gaming. It meant a lot to her because she could communicate with others easier, and it also reduced her anxiety. In particular, Alicia loved Minecraft and would spend hours on end playing it in her room. She would meet friends this way as well as through platforms like Discord, which she was frequently on. Alicia's mother, Jessica, would always encourage her to be more social, but she was happy that her daughter found social interaction through gaming as well, and overall saw it as a positive thing for Alicia. Jessica didn't see the harm in it and wasn't aware of the dangers that the internet could bring, so she was glad that her daughter was able to enjoy herself and make friends this way. However, there were a couple of incidents that concerned Jessica, one of which was when she found that Alicia had been giving out her personal information to somebody online. Jessica sat Alicia down and explained why this was dangerous and talked to her about internet safety, advising her to the best of her ability, even though Alicia was more used to technology than Jessica was. Jessica said that this was also talked about in Alicia's therapy sessions, and it seems as though Alicia understood. But another time, Jessica discovered that Alicia was texting someone whom she had met online, and although they had not disclosed their age in the text messages, Jessica believed that this person was possibly much older than Alicia, and she was incredibly concerned, to the point that she actually contacted the authorities. She once again talked to Alicia about this, but other than these instances, Jessica didn't see any grave danger in Alicia's online gaming, and overall saw it as a good outlet for her. And I just wanted to mention that, like I said, Jessica has been fighting to get Alicia's story out there, so she's done many interviews that you can watch. I particularly loved Kendall Ray's video. She's one of my favorite YouTubers, and she did a video with Jessica where you can really hear the story from Jessica's perspective, and as always, Kendall tells it in such a great way, so that was my first port of call when it came to researching this case. So unfortunately, it is now widely believed that Alicia's online presence is what ultimately led to her disappearance. So let's go over the lead up to the last day that she was seen. By the autumn of 2019, Alicia Navarro was 14 years old and had just started her new school, Brigade Catholic High School in Phoenix, Arizona. Starting this new school was actually something that Alicia was quite excited for. She would be attending with some of her best friends, and she was doing well both socially and with grades at this point. Her mother knew that settling into the school would be a challenge since it was a new environment, but she was very encouraging to Alicia. And like I said, Alicia was doing really well. She was getting herself up for school and getting ready on her own, and she was doing well with schoolwork and was even dreaming of going to university. But in hindsight, Jessica realized that around this time she was noticing some changes in Alicia, just subtle differences in her behavior. Alicia started asking for things like makeup and body spray, which is fairly normal for a teenager but was quite out of character for Alicia, particularly the body spray, because Alicia had sensory issues and scent was something that she was very sensitive to. Alicia also started asking for different types of clothes, which struck Jessica as odd because Alicia was most comfortable in sweatshirts, to the point where she would always be wearing one even when it was hot. And in particular, Jessica remembers Alicia asking her for an open-backed top, which Jessica thought to be quite inappropriate for a 14-year-old, so she didn't get it. Alicia was also asking for band tees because she had suddenly started listening to different music. Alicia had been into pop music, just general top 100 kind of hits, but she had switched it up entirely, and as of recent was now listening to older bands such as Pink Floyd. As well as this, Alicia had asked her mother for a $200 Iron Man comic book, and comics and superheroes were not something that Alicia had previously shown an interest in, so this once again seemed kind of odd to her mother, but she knew that Alicia did love to read, so she did end up buying it for her. The biggest change in Alicia, though, was that she was always asking if she could go and hang out with friends, which was something that she usually wasn't as comfortable doing. But now it seemed as though she was frequently wanting to, and Jessica was supportive of this because she saw this as progress. She did, however, note one time in particular when Alicia went to the mall for a couple of hours with 2 boys, one of whom was really into coding, so they kind of bonded over that, and he was encouraging her to get into the robotics team. And the other boy was kind of a gym junkie, and he had talked to Alicia about proteins and supplements, and so by the time she got home, she seemed really bubbly and happy, but she was talking about getting into fitness, and Jessica didn't see this as a red flag, but it just seemed like Alicia was trying to find herself perhaps, and in hindsight, it does seem like she was really easily influenced by friends and the people around her. But at the time, Jessica didn't see any red flags. She just noticed that her daughter was changing, just like any teenager would, and she was happy that Alicia was making progress with managing her anxiety and autism. So overall, Alicia seemed to be doing well, but on September 13th, 2019, she just woke up feeling really anxious and she didn't want to go to school. So Jessica let her have the day off. She was very supportive of mental health days when Alicia needed them, so Alicia had the day off at home and spent most of it in her room. The next day, which was Saturday 14th, Jessica took Alicia out for a little date day. They went to a local chocolate shop and went and got Alicia's eyebrows threaded before going to McDonald's so Jessica could get her favorites, chicken nuggets and french fries. And it sounds as though they had a great day together. Alicia's anxiety seemed to have lessened quite a bit, and she did seem like her usual self, nothing out of the ordinary. They got home and Alicia spent the rest of the day in her room online gaming, and Jessica said that she remembered hearing her laughing up there, so she was just glad that she was happy again. That night, Jessica didn't go to bed until quite late because she was waiting for her husband, who you don't hear a lot about. It's mainly Jessica who's in the media, but I believe his name is Yvonne. So Jessica was waiting for him to get home from work, and at around 1 a.m. Alicia was coming downstairs and she ran into her mother, and Alicia seemed surprised to see her, like she was surprised that her mother was still up, still awake. Jessica didn't think too much of it at the time, and she went to bed not long after, while her husband fell asleep on the couch watching TV that night. The next morning, Jessica woke up at about 7 a.m, and the first thing she always did was let the dogs out. So she went to do this, and that's when she noticed that the back door was slightly open. Now at the time, she didn't really think too much of it. She just thought that her husband must have gone outside already that morning and accidentally left it a little open. But while they were having breakfast, she checked with her husband and he told her that he hadn't been outside, and they immediately grew concerned. Jessica said that her initial thought was that someone had come in to the house. Now Alicia normally didn't have breakfast until 11 a.m, when she would get it from Starbucks because there was only certain foods that she wanted to eat. So at this point it was still pretty early for Alicia to be up at all, but at this point Yvonne went upstairs to check that she was in her bedroom, and that's when he found that she was gone. When he told Jessica this, she immediately went outside and saw that some outdoor chairs had been stacked up against the brick fence in the backyard, and there were footsteps leading up to it. They knew that this was not a good sign, so they frantically searched the house to make sure that Alicia wasn't there, and they found that not only had Alicia gone, but she had taken her MacBook and her phone with her. At this point, Jessica decided to call the police and report Alicia missing. She told the dispatcher that her autistic daughter was not at home and had seemingly snuck out during the night and not come back. Police arrived at the scene not long after and determined the same thing, that Alicia had most likely climbed over the back fence using the chairs stacked against it. So the police started their search for Alicia by getting a list of phone numbers and addresses for Alicia's friends and anyone that may know of her whereabouts. They also contacted the missing persons detectives. And when they left, Alicia's parents had no choice but to wait for them to call, which was pure torture for them. Jessica knew that Alicia didn't know how to be alone in public. She didn't know how to get around or how to be safe. She depended on her mother for a lot while she was out. Thinking of all the possibilities of where Alicia could be or what could have happened to her sent Jessica into a panic, and she couldn't just wait around. So the next day she did another search of the house to look for any potential clues as to what had happened. And she did actually find one, because Alicia had left a handwritten note which said, quote, "I ran away, I will be back, I swear. I'm sorry, Alicia." This note confirmed that Alicia had left on her own, and it also looked as though she had written it in a rush. The note was messily written when Alicia's handwriting was normally very neat, but Jessica has said that she still definitely believes that it was Alicia who wrote it. The note showed that Alicia had intended to come back, which was also backed up by the fact that she hadn't taken her laptop or phone charges despite taking the devices. Jessica took the note to the police, but they didn't seem to have the same sense of urgency about Alicia's disappearance, and Jessica had to beg them to put out a silver alert, which in the US is a broadcast that gets information about missing and vulnerable people out to the public. They also displayed Alicia's information on billboards on Loop 101, and Jessica was happy about this because she knew that the most important thing was to get Alicia's name and face out there. But even so, she felt that they weren't doing enough. So she decided to take matters into her own hands and essentially start her own investigation, starting with searching the whole neighborhood and talking to neighbors, getting security camera footage from anyone she could. One piece of footage showed a white van entering the neighborhood around the time that they thought Alicia had gone missing, and leaving not long after. She couldn't tell if Alicia was in the van, but they took a closer look at the footprints leading to the stack of chairs up against the brick fence and determined that they were definitely Alicia's and that there were no one else's footprints alongside hers. Her parents knew that if someone had come in and gotten her or taken her, their dogs would have started barking, and neither of them heard a thing that night. It really seemed as though she had left alone by her own accord, but one thought was that she had purposely stacked those chairs and gone over the back fence in order to avoid security cameras. And if this was the case, it seems as though someone may have been coaching Alicia through this and telling her what to do to sneak out. Another aspect of the case that points to this is that Alicia took both of her devices, which has actually made the investigation a lot harder. Obviously, if Alicia was coached or lured out of the house by someone, the first place to look for this person would be online, particularly at Alicia's online accounts. But without her computer or phone, this was a little more difficult. What we do know is that the last time Alicia was online was at 3:26 a.m. September 15th. As we know, Jessica got up around 7 a.m. that morning, so sometime between 3:26 and 7 a.m. Alicia left the house. And remember, at around 1 a.m. on September 15th, Alicia and Jessica bumped into each other on the stairs, and Alicia seemed surprised that her mother was still up. Is it possible that Alicia was intending to sneak out then, or was preparing to sneak out? Jessica now believes that she was essentially waiting for her to go to bed so that she could. The day before Alicia's 15th birthday, September 19th, there was one supposed sighting of her at around 4 p.m. One of Alicia's siblings' friends said that they saw Alicia in La Pradera Park on 39th Avenue in Glendale with an older man who had darker skin and was covered in tattoos. The park was about 1.5 miles from Alicia's home, and Jessica immediately went and investigated this tip herself, going to the area and talking to anyone she could about her missing daughter. One man who was at the park told Jessica that he believed he had also seen Alicia with a man matching that description, but unfortunately these sightings couldn't be confirmed because there was no surveillance footage in the area. Even so, Alicia's parents held on to hope that she would be back in time for her 15th birthday on 20th of September. She had gone missing just 5 days before her birthday, and Jessica knew that she wouldn't miss it for the world. In the Spanish community, a girl's 15th birthday is a very special occasion. It is a rite of passage from girlhood to womanhood and is usually celebrated with a quinceañera. Alicia didn't want a big celebration. It really wasn't her thing, but she had asked to go to a new restaurant for her birthday because she wanted to try steak for the first time. So they had made reservations and Alicia was so excited for it. She had even already picked out her red velvet birthday cake with Jessica and seemed to be really looking forward to her birthday. So when the day came, Jessica posted on social media that she would be going ahead with a birthday party for Alicia and that anybody was invited to join her in Alicia's honor at a nearby park. They were all desperately hoping that Alicia would turn up, but she didn't. There's an absolutely heartbreaking video online of Jessica singing happy birthday and just sobbing, her heart breaking because her baby didn't come back. After Alicia's birthday came and went, Jessica wasn't giving up, and she continued to investigate as many tips as she could, as well as organizing search groups and distributing flyers to raise awareness of Alicia's disappearance. She even went out at night, and through this she witnessed many teenagers on drugs and participating in sex work, and it was so distressing to her that Alicia was out there in this scary world. But she was determined to keep going, particularly because she was hardly hearing from the police. They weren't even telling her about what they were doing to try and find Alicia or any new developments in the case. One instance of this was when the police got handwriting specialists to analyze the note that Alicia had left, and instead of finding out about this through the police, Jessica read it in a news report. Thankfully, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children soon got involved in Alicia's case, and they listed Alicia on their website and put up flyers and billboards to hopefully bring in some more leads. Eventually, the FBI also got involved and provided resources to the Glendale Police Department to aid in the investigation. Detectives looked into rideshare services like Uber and public transport services that Alicia may have used in the area, and they also contacted all registered sex offenders in the area, as well as adult group homes for any sign of Alicia. But unfortunately, no solid leads came from this. By 2020, the investigation had slowed down a lot due to no real leads coming in, and the pandemic slowed everything down as well. But in March of 2020, a private detective referred Jessica to the Anti-Predator Project, and they got involved in Alicia's case. The Anti-Predator Project is a non-profit investigative agency that fights and investigates human trafficking, child exploitation, and missing children in the United States at no cost to the family. Generally, the first step that their investigators take is looking at all the devices and internet history of the missing person, but unfortunately, this was made very difficult in Alicia's case. Jessica was specifically working with a man named Trent Steele from the agency, and he said, quote, "I can tell you that Alicia taking her devices with her, her cell phone and her laptop, has made our job immensely more difficult." Trent believes that Alicia was most likely lured out of her house by someone who was skilled at grooming minors online and had coached Alicia into taking her devices with her when she snuck out, so that it would be far more difficult to trace them down. It seems like this person had been a practiced predator who knew what they were doing and how to target and groom children like Alicia. Alicia's parents, of course, had no idea that these types of high-profile criminals were lurking online in places specifically targeted towards children. And they did not realize how much danger Alicia was exposed to through her online gaming. In hindsight, of course, they wish they had known more about what Alicia was doing and who she was talking to. But, like many parents, they had not grown up with this type of technology and online space, so they were uneducated on the dangers of it. And this is a good time for me to remind everyone to just be respectful in the comments, especially to Alicia's family and parents. Obviously, they wish they could have done things differently, but we do the best we can with the information we have, so let's just be kind and compassionate. Unfortunately, because Alicia took her devices and they have never been located, a lot of her online activity cannot be accessed. Sorry if you heard the dog jump onto the couch. So Trent and his team have had to piece together information based on Alicia's public communication online. We do know that Alicia messaged one of her friends on Discord on September 4th, just over a week before she disappeared, and she told this friend, who was actually a 20-year-old man, that she had sold her Xbox and that she had a boyfriend now. She told another male friend a few days before she disappeared that she was going to run away to California and asked if he would like to come with her. But these friends told police that they didn't really believe Alicia. She had a tendency to exaggerate, and they didn't really take her seriously because of this. These messages, as well as all the changes that Alicia had gone through in the time leading up to her disappearance, suggest that she may have been trying to change herself for someone, or to impress someone perhaps, and this someone may have been talking to her for quite some time, gaining her trust and her desire to want to please them. Most people who look at this case, including Alicia's parents and Trent Steele, believe that this person lured Alicia out of the home after weeks or even months of talking to her and grooming her. And although Alicia had the best intentions to come back home, she was tragically unable to. At this stage, that is all we know, but the Anti-Predator Project is still investigating Alicia's disappearance and are offering a $20,000 reward for anyone who has information that leads to Alicia. Jessica is also still fiercely fighting for her daughter, and she continues her efforts in media appearances and interviews and online through social media. She has a TikTok called Find Alicia Navarro and a Facebook page called Help Find Alicia Navarro, where she spreads awareness about Alicia's case and organizes flyer distribution events with her community, who have rallied around her to help keep Alicia's name out there. Jessica is also now an advocate for victims of human trafficking and fights to raise awareness for this as well as internet safety issues in hopes that what has happened to her family need not happen to anyone else's. I just wanted to add that if by any chance you have any information or think you may have seen Alicia, you can contact the Glendale Police Department or the Anti-Predator Project. I will put their numbers and information in the description along with the TikTok and Facebook accounts. When Alicia went missing, she was 4 foot 9 inches tall and between 85 to 95 pounds. She is Hispanic with black hair, and when she left, she was believed to most likely be wearing her favorite white sweatshirt that had writing on it, a white wash denim overall skirt, and a black and white Vans type style tennis shoe. She also took a small backpack with metallic cat ears on it, and of course her cell phone and MacBook. And one thing that I forgot to mention was that she also brought that $200 Iron Man comic. So just another very suspicious thing to add to the case. hopefully some more information about Alicia's case comes out soon and she can be found and her family finally given some closure. But until then, that is all I have for you today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you did like it, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you think happened in this case and any cases you'd like to see in future. I love hearing from you guys. It brightens my day, every comment that I get. So thanks again, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye.